From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. With 3 checks now landing, now law, have you gotten it? Wow. The President of the United States made them law. A $6,500 check made law March 31st. $15,000 to $80,000 check made law March 4th. And MSE checks, 12 months of them, not 6 months, at $2,000 a pop on average. Wow. I'll go over how to get those incredible checks in this recording for members. But first, we're going to start with the breaking, developing details of Build Back Better and SS300. A lot of economic data that came in today, including the unemployment claims. Lowest number ever seen in the history of this channel. Yes. And how many unemployed people, life continuing from week to week? Lowest number we've seen since the 1960s. And that as there's now like 6 jobs for 1 person available that are unfilled. Now, it comes in a week in which there's a lot of economic data that was misses. Bad data that signals we're going to recession. Confusing, isn't it? It is confusing. We'll analyze it, why it's good for Build Back Better and why it's good for that SS300. Build Back Better has $15,000 to $80,000 of checks, and that SS300 would raise your benefits up about $300 more per month. Why is this data good, and what does it mean for your wallet? I'll have the latest details as well. 7 stimulus heats up this recording. That is student loan debt forgiveness. May 2nd, the president will determine whether to forgive the student loan or not, or to roll over the determination another 30 days. We'll be looking at what the Federal Reserve Boulard said today. He's the Fed governor out of St. Louis, and he said that the situation is very fluid, but he wants an enormous number of interest rate spikes over the next 6 months. Wow. What does that mean for you? What does it mean for your wallet? Then we'll be looking at the developing details about 6 stimulus. That is the Russian situation. Germany saying knocking off of Russian oil. The United States parading in those oil executives before Capitol Hill. Where's the focus? Where's the wheat situation today? Major trouble with that wheat as the commodities may go up. You ready for this? Another 40%? I thought bread at $7 a loaf was enough. I can't imagine bread at $10 a loaf. But we're just getting started because the toast was toasting this morning. It won't be toasting tomorrow morning if the toast is $11 a loaf. It's a big afternoon and a lot of breaking details, a lot of money, a lot of checks, and a lot of news. It's financial news and it's afternoon. A good day. It's a strange day with a lot of strange developing details, but I'm excited you're here because guess what? There's a lot of money at issue and those checks have landed. Less than 3 of them. Are you ready for them? Oh boy, $6,500 check, $15,000 to $80,000 checks, and a $24,000 MSC check. We'll have all the incredible details of these checks in today's recording. But first, if you haven't become a member, make sure you do because we're going to go over each of these checks right after the commercial break. How you get them, get your pen and paper ready. A lot of money, and I want to make sure you get these checks. Stay the final minutes of this video as well because I have new commentary about stimulus that you've never seen before. Then we'll start with first Build Back Better Act. The incredible Build Back Better Act likely to get passed in April, says legislators now. And we have new economic guidance about what that means for you. As the Federal Reserve gives new guidance and new Fed Speak. We'll have the latest Fed Speak statements from Boulard and what you need to know about those interest rates and inflation. Then we'll be turning to that student loan debt forgiveness, 7 stimulus. And of course, 6 stimulus, that Putin-caused recessionary stimulus. A lot of breaking, developing details today. And we'll preview of tonight's evening's LA at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Huge show today on Afternoons LA. I'm very excited you joined me. Let's start with the incredible great news about the Build Back Better Act. 3 classes of checks and 3 add-ons that pay you about $15,000 to $80,000. Let's go over each of those checks right now. Yes, $15,000 to $80,000 across 3 clusters and 3 add-ons, but we do have a surprise in those clusters. In that first cluster of checks, we have hazard pay. 1 more year for my earned income tax credit recipients. You got it under the third stimulus, the EIC, and then you will get it again under fourth stimulus, $1,000 for you. Then they got the CTC 1 more year. That was upwards of $4,000 for young children under third stimulus. They're doing it again. $4,000 of elder care got in there. $4,000 of care for young children. $550 check for the college students Pell Grant. And then they got the $12,500 for the purchase of an electric vehicle. Plus, home repairs to repair your home if you live in a low-income community. Wow, incredible great news. As we turn to the first of 3 add-ons of checks to the Build Back Better bill, currently in the Senate, not law, Maxine Waters got a little bit less than $25,000 in there. What is that for? That is for money for your purchase of your first home. How do you get that? Tune in tonight on Evenings at LALATE. We'll go over the details of that in prime time. In cluster number 2, we got in there paid leave for individuals who get sick and need to stay home due to sickness or illness. This is $4,000 to $6,000 a year. Wow, incredible. W-2, 1099. And then we got in there home repairs. Hold up. Put your pens up. Wait a second, because guess what? That provision, home repairs, which is to weatherize your home, which was to be in the second of 3 clusters of the Build Back Better bill, non-law, is now law. The president took it out and made it law just a few days ago by executive action. And guess which check that is on our list? That is check A of the 3 checks, A, B, and C. Yes, the president took it out and made it law. So this is why there's a big surprise already just seconds into this recording. A $6,500 stimulus check is now law. Made law March 31st. Have you gotten it? I'll show you how to get it in just a second. Let's go back into Build Back Better where we were at that second cluster of checks at the time. Of course, the second cluster still has paid leave in there. Now let's go into the second add-on of checks. Second add-on of checks comes from Bob Casey, just a little bit less than $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. As we go to that third cluster of checks, seniors and free internet for all checks, farmers checks, independent contractors checks. And then seniors gain lots of checks, dental, vision, hearing checks, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55, and then the Medicaid gap fix, which is powerful, of course, when we're talking about adding checks to the Build Back Better Act. The other checks that they represent, they would add in there are MSC, monthly IRS stimulus check. These are checks that pay out $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for 6 months. Who gets them? Well, stay tuned in tonight to Evenings LA and Prime Time. We're going to go over these incredible checks then. But the legislators represent that if you got a third, you get a fourth. Single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you get it. Family of 4, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, you get it as well. And that, my friends, is the Build Back Better bill. We have breaking news on it in just a second. But first, let's go to the SS300 because that also has breaking news. SS300 is the push to raise your benefits up using a new benchmark. That benchmark is inflation, not COLA. How does this work? Your benefits are assessed every year based upon COLA, a very bad benchmark because it doesn't move. If you swap out for inflation and lock it in today, well, inflation has the highest price point of a generation, 8% in December, as I predicted all last year, 8% in January, 8% in February. But where will it be in April? Where will it be in May? We don't know about May, but at the moment, the bond traders are signaling that maybe it's tracking even higher. That's why you want Joe Biden to make that swap from COLA to inflation right today, because you would lock in not just $200 more per month this month, but a lifetime. And that is great news across the board. Now, if you wait and inflation drops to, let's say, 6%, then you wouldn't lock in $200 more per month. It'd be $150 or something like that. Later this year, we always understood that Jay Powell is going to get it down to 4% inflation. That would be another $100. Good. That would be SS 300 by the end of the year, $300 more per month for your benefits if you're a veteran, a senior, or someone on Social Security, lifetime. But here's what's part of the equation. Part of the equation is Jay Powell. He's head of the Federal Reserve, and his job is to reduce inflation. And now we have a lot of economic data that came in, a lot of breaking news from Jay Powell, a lot of new statements today for April 7th, 2022 that signals they're coming in more aggressively on that inflation. This is why you really have to watch this channel every day, because every day it seems to get tighter and tighter and tighter on this inflationary front. In February, Jay Powell said that we're going to do a quarter basis point for an interest rate spikes every month indefinitely and see if that works. Then in March, he did a quarter basis point at the first FOMC meeting. He wasn't even out of the door, and then two governors kept on saying that's not strong enough, like Bullard and Wallace and Daley. Then the chair himself, Jay Powell, said, you know what, maybe I have to do a half basis point. And then I said over the next two meetings, you're going to see 2 half basis point increases. Well, just as you would expect it, Bullard, who always wants to be very aggressive on this issue, spoke about the situation in the last few hours. And this is what Bullard, who's one of the Fed governors under Jay Powell, said. Remember, Jay Powell is trying to do 175 basis point increases over the rest of this year, which is a quarter, approximately 6 times. Which is good. Bullard said, no, we need to potentially do, we potentially have to do a lot more. So how much did Bullard ask for? Bullard is basically asking for close to 300 points. Oh, jeez, Lord. Unbelievable. Bullard said that rates need to rise about 300 basis points over the next few meetings. That he's the Fed president out of St. Louis. The reaction from Art Hogan, who's a great market analyst at National Security, says, with clear vision, the cadence and the tempo of both rate hikes and balance sheets, the market reaction is hawkish. The Fed has delivered a concise monetary roadmap that is well inside of street consensus. Yeah, I don't agree with Art on that one. Sorry, Art. The situation is that Wall Street did not anticipate half basis point increases indefinitely. Then about a month ago, we said maybe 1 half basis point. Then last weekend, I said, I think it's going to be 2 half basis points, myself and most analysts on Wall Street. Now it's looking like maybe more than just 2 meetings of half basis point. But folks, this is getting very extenuated. So what I got to tell you is, despite what Art Hogan says, I think that Jay Powell will do at least 2 interest rate hikes of half basis point, and that's why Joe Biden needs to make that swap from cola inflation right today. Because if he's doing half basis points in April and May and June, your inflationary numbers are going to drop dramatically. Now, we had other guidance from the Jay Powell that also said that this is from the FOMC meeting notes. This is actually confirmed that they're trying to strike off $1 trillion off the Fed balance sheet, which is also, again, trying to bring down inflation. The situation is that there are lots of uncertainties, but for now, the uncertainty about dropping inflation is not there. We have a certainty that it's going to drop dramatically. So that's why Joe needs to make that swap from cola inflation right today. All right, let's go over the economic data that impacts that and also Build Back Better Act. A lot of economic data today. So I got to tell you, it's an unusual environment, which we've really never seen, where you could literally sit here and handpick really bad economic data, and then suddenly on the other side is really good economic data. Let's go over how this works for you. When there is a weaker economy, then more stimulus is needed. When it's a stronger economy, then the push to give more stimulus is not as supported. Then when we see economic data and we see predictions, and we see misses and misses, then there's need for more stimulus. What is a miss? For example, let's say we're expecting 100,000 new jobs to be created last month, and they only generated 20,000 new jobs created. That's a miss. Now, let's say we generate 300,000 new jobs. That's a beat. So what has the economic data been all over the last 7 days? Miss, one after another. Until today, with a major beat. And folks, this is again getting very interesting. What have been the misses? The housing industry, major misses. We have housing starts, which is how many houses are sold per month. 4 months down. The last number released just a few days, also down. Major miss. Then we had the GDP number, 6.9%, when Wall Street is expecting 7.1%. Major miss. And now, actually, I forgot, just today, new analysts are saying that maybe the growth rate will be 4% by the end of the year. Ouch, that's a major miss. So we're going from 6.9% growth of the U.S. economy to only 4% by the end of the year. Yeah, that's a major miss. Then we have the mortgage industry surging to its highest levels in nearly 30 years. We're heading to 5%. Actually, we're over 5%. That's a major miss because no one can afford a house at 5% mortgage rate. And we have those type of economic data that were misses. And then today, oh boy, for April 7th, 2022, you know what day it is of the week? Yeah, it's the day in which we get the new unemployment claims. And folks, this is the lowest number I have ever recorded on the history of this channel. This channel approaches its 2-year anniversary on April 25th, 2022, and there was I started recording, as I just said, on April, which was about a month into the pandemic. The first week going into the pandemic, before the pandemic was really here, in March, we had 200,000 unemployment claims new per week. That's newly unemployed people. Then by the time I was starting to record in April, we shot up to 1 million. We stayed over 1 million for 29 consecutive weeks, the worst in U.S. history. Then we went to 800, when we went to 600. Last week, it came actually a little hot, so I called it a miss. It was 200,000 unemployment claims. This week, it was a major beat. Wall Street expecting another 200,000 new unemployment claims this week. And where did the number come in, folks? It is absolutely shocking. The number was a major beat. It was not 200,000 new unemployment claims. It was 166,000 new unemployment claims. This is the lowest number we have seen, not since this channel has been recording, but this is the lowest number in U.S. history since 1968. Yes. So the number of people asking for unemployment assistance newly this last week is the lowest number in many generations since 1968. Let's go get with even more in-depth numbers. I had always told you all last year and all this year that the Federal Reserve and Jay Powell and Janet Yellen and the White House and myself always said that stimulus is gauged upon how many people are unemployed. Well, let's look at the new number today. The number of people who were on a continuing unemployment claims a year ago today was 18.4 million people. Today it's 1.72 million. Folks, I had always told you last year, I can remember numbers like I can remember, hairstyles. I remember last year I said if we ever get under 3 million continuing unemployment claims, we may never see stimulus. Well, it's actually not the case anymore because we're down to 1.72 million. We have dropped from 18 unemployed people in America last year to 1.72. I do believe stimulus is still coming, but it's coming in a different guard, and that's why you have to stay tuned to the later part of this recording. Stay to the very end. I have a lot of breaking news for you. So what does that data says? It says there's 5 million more jobs available today than people unemployed. There is more jobs available than people unemployed. So that's why you need to make that swap from COLA to inflation right today. So what does this mean about SS300? First, and what does it mean about Build Back Better Act? First, it means that Build Back Better Act is going to get done. But it may get modified. It may be done in a different way than you and I thought. And that is why you always have to remain on point with this channel, because as economic data changes, so does stimulus. Build Back Better Act needs to get done because you see the data is inconsistent. The economic data is inconsistent. There's some parts of the economy that are really struggling and other parts that are not struggling. Number two, you need to have Joe Biden make that swap for COLA and inflation, because now when you see those unemployment numbers dropping so dramatically and improving so dramatically, and then other numbers actually on the reverse, getting worse, you don't want to risk it. You want to make that swap from COLA to inflation right as quickly as possible. In the second half of this video, we got a lot coming up. But the first thing right after the commercial break, you know how we do it right after the commercial break, your checks. Your money. Get your pen and paper ready, because thank goodness, big, deliciousness checks have landed. $6,500, $1,580,000, and a $24,000 MSC check has landed. Become a member during the commercial break, because right after, we're going to go over all these incredible checks. That newsletter comes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alerts. Get that membership signed up before the commercial break is over, and get ready afterwards, because we're going to go over these big 3 checks. Then we'll be looking at student loan debt forgiveness. We'll be looking at 6 stimulus. We'll be looking at the latest developing details on everything else from 4th and also SS300. We're just getting started. The deliciousness of Afternoons LA heats up. We'll also have a preview of Evenings LA tonight. And then stay at the very end, because I have a big surprise for you at the very end of this video. It's a big day, and we're just getting started. See you back in 60 seconds. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues in a big second half of Afternoons LALATE for April 7th, 2022. A lot of breaking developing details today on that economic front. We'll be turning back to that economic data and how it impacts your big money. But first, we're going to start with those big checks, lots of them that have now landed. Their law, and they are incredible. These incredible checks have now been gotten by members of this channel. I hope you've gotten as well. If you haven't become a member, become a member. We're going to go over each of these checks in just a second. But student loan debt forgiveness, heating up the second half. And also, we'll be looking at those interest rates. What does that mean for your SS300? And what does it mean for Build Back Better? That's heating up the second half of this video. Plus, we'll be looking at 6 stimulus. And what's going on with Germany? We haven't heard a lot about Germany out of the White House. And what about that Iranian oil deal? And what happened with the oil situation yesterday? Finally, say the final minutes of this video because I have a big surprise for you across the land. A lot of surprises, and stay to the very end for that as well. Let's start with the 3 checks. These incredible 3 checks have now become a law. They are law. They are law. Can I say it again? They are law. They became a law because the President of the United States took them out of the Build Back Better Act, or they were part of third stimulus, and they're absolutely incredible. First, let's go over an overview of each of them, and then we're going to go over the specifics of each one. Get your pen and paper ready. Here comes the big part of the recording. A $6,500 check became a law, a stimulus check, on March 31st, 2022. You can get it. It's a stimulus check, and I'll show you how to get it in this recording. Second, a $15,000 to $80,000 stimulus check became law on April 4th, 2022. It is a law, and viewers have gotten on average $66,000 or more. Then, a $24,000 stimulus check, or actually MSC, multiple stimulus check, became law in early 2021. It's law. It's part of third stimulus. Wow. So what's important to understand is across all viewers of this channel who are watching right now, if you rent or own, and if you make $75,000 less, you can get these checks. You're ready? Let's go into check A without a wait. Here we go. Check number A, we met it early in this recording. It's the Home Weatherizing Grant Check. First, the amount. In some cases, the amount is even more. Some states are actually paying upwards of $12,000. It is $6,500 to $12,000. Number 2, what is it called? It's called the Home Weatherizing Grant Check. Now, whenever I say these checks in these recordings, they are grants. They are free money. They are not income. They're not taxable. They do not disqualify you from benefits because they're not income. They're not loans. There's no credit check. This was in that second cluster of the Build Back Better Act, currently in the Senate, not a law. And Joe Biden said, take it out. Take it out. I'm going to do it by executive action. And it became executive action law just a few days ago. It's a 4 stimulus check, and it has landed. Viewers have gotten it. And again, what is it called? It's called the Weatherizing Grant Check for homeowners. So how do you get this incredible check? You want to become a member and get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system. When you open up that newsletter, you're going to see right under the first few lines the price of oil, wheat, corn today. Next line will be the first check, A. And it'll say the Home Weatherizing Grant Check. Now let's go over what you then do. You click the link and it sends you into the national website, which then you click and go into your state's website, and then you choose the homeowner's weatherizing grant check. So for example, it's going to say Alabama weatherizing homeowners grant check, or Mississippi weatherizing grant check. What's important to understand is that the income qualification is so easy, and boy, is it ever. It's the same as a third stimulus check. Single individual, 75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, 150,000 less, you can get it. If you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, RB, you can get as well. And then incredible details is that if you got any of these checks from this channel before, you can get this on top of this. So let's go back to that big check and go get it right today. You open that membership newsletter, you click the link, you go right into the national website. Then you choose your state and you choose the state's home weatherizing grant check, and you get ready to rock and roll. Average payout is about a 1 week thereafter. Let's go into the second check where we just did A, which became law March 31st. Let's do B. Happened the same way. This was in Build Back Better Act. The fourth stimulus recon, the president took it out. It's a $15,000 to $80,000 check. Became law March 4th, 2022. Wow. So how do you get this check and what is it? It looks similar to the A check. The A check requires that income level less than $75,000 and that you own a home. This is much the same as way. So let's go into check B. First, how much is this? This pays out a lot more. $15,000 to $80,000 checks. Wow, huge. Average channel viewers averaging about $66,000 to $80,000. Number two, where is it from? It's a fourth stimulus check. Again, the president took it out of Build Back Better Act and made it law. The income qualification, the same as A. Single individual, 75,000 less, you can get it. Married couple, 150,000 less, you can get it. If you're a senior on Social Security or a veteran on veterans benefits, you can get it. And if you own a home, you can get it. Unlike the weatherizing grant, which is to weatherize your home, this actually pays for a lot of other things. What are the other things? They're all in the membership newsletter. I detail all these items in the membership newsletter. And remember, it is not income, so it's not taxable. It's incredible. So what do? You go to that membership newsletter, and under this check detail, there's another link. And you're going to click that link, and it sends you into the application directly. And then you apply. You don't wait around and ask questions like, it's a mobile home. Do I qualify? Or what type of weatherizing do I qualify? Just get into the application. Listen to my recording and look at the application and just get in there and get it done. And then when you're doing the application, it'll answer unusual questions like what type of mobile homes or what type of weatherizing. Do not wait to apply, because every day you wait to apply, thousands of people are getting a line in front of you. That's why you want to wait to become a member. You want to become a member today, because every day that passes, thousands of people are getting in front of you, and the programs will eventually run out. Don't wait to become a member. Don't wait to get that application on file. All right, now we've done the A and B. Let's now do C's check. C's check is huge. It is an MSE check. It dates back to January 2021. Third stimulus, huge details across the board. So while A and B were for homeowners, C is for renters and homeowners. Let's recap that again. If you own a home, you can get A, B, and C. And if you rent, you can get C. I had a couple people, actually, not just one, like a handful, saying, I rent to own. No, you're a renter, because if you're not an owner yet, because you don't have a deed in your titled name, so you're a renter, so you're doing C. So let's do C. The incredible details of C. You're ready? Here we go. C is averaging out $2,000 a month for 12 months, like an MSC. But many viewers are getting upwards of $45,000. A lot of viewers are getting over $150,000. Is a third stimulus MSC, so it is different than fourth stimulus. This is not Build Back Better Act's MSC. This is third stimulus MSC. And the difference is huge. First, it pays a lot more than Build Back Better Act does. Build Back Better Act only gives you $7,000 over 6 months. Viewers on this channel are averaging $24,000 at least over 12 months. Number two, it's faster. Number three, it comes direct deposited once you authorized by that payor. And how do you get those checks? Let's get that pen and paper ready. We're going to go over those checks right now. This is different than A and B, which requires you to go to a website. In the case of C, you're not going to a website. You're going to your phone and making calls. So who do you call? What do you say? How do you do it? Let's go over the details of what you do to get these big checks right now. What you want to do is you want to reach out to a series of places and get that request in. And how do you do it? Let's go over the details starting right now. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority. your county hall, and your county housing authority. You're also going to reach out to your state hall and your state housing authority. Notice something in those three people, they're all holding phones. Yes, you can do this with a phone. That's why the graphic is a phone. You don't need a computer to get this money. You reach out to those 6 places, and the keywords you're going to say are, he's holding a phone as well. Rent assistance because of COVID. Mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say MSC. Where is that darn MSC? No, you don't say that. You ask for rent assistance because of COVID, utility assistance because of COVID. And get those 6 places applications on file in as many of those 6 places as you can. Then do as many months as you can and lean on the membership. Why is that membership important? The membership is so important because the membership features an additional 5 to 6 other places called the nonprofits that also pay for the money. So if you're not a member, you're just showing 6 places to reach out to in this recording. But guess what? Members have about another 6 on top of that. That's why members are getting a lot more money for these items. So but consider becoming a member to get this more money for these MSC checks as well. And when you open that membership newsletter, you learn about the nonprofits. Rely on those nonprofits to pay you money because they do things also as like nominal home repairs, small appliances. They are incredible. They're absolutely incredible. Average view of the channel has gotten about $45,000. Do it right today. Do not wait. Get these big checks and push Purple Power. You can get this. All you need is a telephone. We're going to go over the details, more about that later in this recording. Now, stay with me. I have a big surprise about this and other things later at the end of this recording. But now let's turn to that 6th stimulus. 6th stimulus was to solve the situation from Vladimir Putin and also Ukraine. So what's going on the 6th stimulus front? Boy, this, folks, gets a little bit confusing. Let me tell you where we started. We started week 1 of the Putin invasion of Ukraine, where everyone looked and said, oh, I'm buying Russian products. What do we do? And the president's Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, reached out to those partner allies like Germany, France, get off of Russian oil. Germany said, no, we can't. We're too dependent. And then they said, you must morally go off of Russian oil. And then they said back to Blinken, you're right. We'll get morally off of that oil. And the way we'll do it was debt spent. We'll raise our national deficits and then give a stimulus out to our citizens because no one can afford these prices of gasoline indefinitely or these prices of commodities like bread and wheat and grain and corn indefinitely. That was the agreement until about 5 days ago. Then suddenly out of nowhere, Germany said that it's not getting off of Russian oil. So why did this make it so confusing, and why is the White House getting really mixed messaging on this one? A lot of breaking news today for April 7th, 2022 on this front. Number one, you may have seen the parade of those oil executives in Washington yesterday before a congressional subcommittee. Wrong messaging. I mean, really wrong messaging. It needs to be done. I'm not saying that doesn't need to be done. Really wrong messaging. Last Friday, the message from the White House during that press briefing from the president in the Oval Office, the culprit in all this is the oil executives. The culprit is the oil executives. Wrong messaging. I got to tell you, I'm usually good on gauging things, and I think that people that have a very basic high school education will understand that we as a society are not doing enough here to ramp up oil production. And number two, we're not doing enough to get our allies that can ramp up production to do more as well. I think most people understand that. And when you hear this, there's a problem with the gouging by the oil executives. It doesn't translate well. It doesn't translate well because it's so off of message. Here's the problem, is that you and I know what's going on because I've been briefing you. In October of last year, before Halloween, I said there's 100,000 Russian troops at the Ukrainian border. If he invades, it's the biggest economic story of 2022. I was not alone because guess what happened? The President of the United States told Janet Yellen, his Treasury Secretary at the time, what's going on with those troops at the border? It's almost Halloween. If that invasion happens, what can we do and what will we do to oil? Did they have a plan in place? They did not. In fact, we've seen the interviews where Yellen's undersecretaries are asked, why have you not ramped up production of oil in Texas? Answer, no answer. In fact, I did that video 1,000 times. I'm not going to do it anymore. The president has never ramped up production in Texas and should have day one. Now, that would not solve the price of gasoline domestically, but he didn't do it. Then the president had the opportunity to close the deal on that Iranian oil deal. That would bring our price of gasoline to its lowest price levels of a generation. Why? Because there's not enough oil in Texas. There's not enough oil in the strategic reserves to bring down the international price of gasoline. This is simple numbers, folks. I think most people can understand this. If you got 50 countries that use oil and there's a shortage of oil across the 50 countries, what do you have to do? You have to get oil for the 50 countries to eliminate this shortage. Pretty simple, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty simple. So if one country, the United States, says, hi, I got some extra oil, I'm going to release a little bit of oil in our country, that does nothing to the price of gasoline. It doesn't bring it down because guess what? You have to give enough oil to your partner allies to get the international price of oil down. And that's why you see the price of Brent crude in the membership newsletter all this last week, the same number as it was 2 weeks ago. What did the president say last week? He said he's going to release 1 million barrels of gasoline for the strategic reserves of the United States every day for the next few weeks to the month of, for 6 months. I said, who cares? It doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. Guess what? Wall Street's agreeing with me because the price of Brent crude has not come down. Why? Because 1 million barrels domestically released from what we call the strategic reserves. That's like our storage facility. We own oil and we have barrels stored up. When we release some of our oils we have stored up, it's not enough oil. There's too much of a shortage. Those oil we have in the storage room is not enough oil to bring down the price of gasoline internationally. And that is why you needed the Iranian oil deal, because that was 1.5 million barrels by December at least, on top of everything else we could flood on top of the market. So this is not working, folks. This is not working. And I think that the White House is getting a little confused on this messaging because they also said during that press briefing that they're going to get the partner allies to release their strategic reserves. The partner allies do not have stored up oil. They don't have it. It doesn't exist. Italy does not have stored up oil. Germany doesn't have stored up oil to flood the market. So this doesn't work. Point number one, you don't do this situation. You don't get fixed, Mr. President. Then we go into recession because you haven't solved the situation for oil. What's the next part of 6 stimulus that's brand new today for April 7th, 2022? A new report today signals that my analysis since day one of the invasion of Ukraine, we're now in month 2 of that war, is actually very, very correct. I've been showing you the graphic about wheat and grain and telling you how the shortage of wheat and grain from Ukraine because of the Russian invasion is really the thing that's going to send us into recession. And that risk is not really embedded into the market. Well, what's going on today? The thing that's going on today is that analysts now believe that there is not an inherent embedded risk in the U.S. market of how much shortage there is when it comes to commodities. The situation of commodities is very fluid, and that comes back to wheat and grain. How much of a shortage is there? It's a very clear shortage because I've been detailing on this channel. That shortage is the worst we've seen of a generation. How big of a shortage is it? Well, in this case, right now, we're now seeing that it could be far more chaotic. And the numbers at issue are very telling. Let me give you the breaking details today. The commodity markets continue to swirl out of control today because raw materials could surge as much as 40% more, says analysts at JP Morgan Chase. 40% higher than what I've already told you they are. Let's say that again. They're at the highest levels of a generation right now, the raw materials, that includes wheat and grain and other things, and they could surge another 40% on top of that, says JP Morgan Chase. The war its position now has been priced in, but we don't know how worse it will go thereafter, says Fiona Cianta, who's not at Chase. She's at City Index. The area of focus is sanctions. So bottom line is that the situation on that wheat and grain could get 40% worse because the White House and no one has done anything on the subject matter. And folks, that sends you into recession. That sends you into recession if we don't fix it. It sends you into recession if our partner allies don't fix it. And then we're waiting to see whether the Vladimir Putin defaulted on the $2 billion of principal payments. You know what? It stays like this that I have to laugh. Did you hear me just laugh? I had to laugh because guess what? I mean, that's a big story. It's a big story, and we're now 3 days past the repayment date. Has anyone been tracking his principal repayments? I can't track it. I don't have a 500-person newsroom. But you know, this is a story I would have wanted to know. Did Vladimir Putin make the $2 billion principal repayment. Everyone forgot about it except me. Can someone tell one of the, the broadcast channels that have 500 people in the studio in 15 cities to go research that story? Because that is the answer I need to have known. And if it is, then guess what? The corporate earnings from major banks are coming in starting next week, and those numbers could be horrific if they have line item losses in Russian debt or Russian equities. There you go. Now, student loan debt forgiveness heats up on May 2nd, with the President of the United States likely to forgive or to extend the situation at issue. The President's Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, has said that he's going to make a determination by May 2nd. What are the options? 3. 1, forgive student loan debt and get it done. Number 2, do nothing and say start repaying me back your debts. Number 3, I'm going to give you more time to repay your debts. Well, I think about the situation a little bit longer. I think it's going to be either of the two better situations. Why? Because the President's Chief of Staff, no, the President's Education Secretary under Obama Biden has now spoken off and says Joe knows he can do this. We did this under Barack, where the President has inherent authority to forgive student loan debt. Joe knows this, he can do it. That's very important news, folks, because I think he knows he can do it. He's just deciding when to do it. And the moratorium to repay your student loan debt gets unfrozen May 2nd, meaning if you have student loan debt, you have to start paying May 2nd, unless Joe rolls it over. I think he may roll it over. Finally, some breaking news and some analysis of the situation. Glad you stayed to the very end. Here are the big details today. What's great to know is that when we're looking at those 3 checks, A, B, and C, you can do all those 3 checks on your phone. I've had a lot of people in the last few days saying, I'm older, I'm in my 80s, I don't know how to use a computer. I watch your channel, which I love, on my phone. Good, you can do A and B and C on your phone. C is done only on your phone. C is only done on your phone. That is why the graphic shows those people picking up the phone and calling for the City Hall, the City Housing Authority on their phone. You can do C on your phone. That's the only place you can do it. In the case of A and B, you can do it on your phone as well. You don't need a computer. You don't need a computer to get A and B. It's easier, but you can certainly do it on your phone. If you don't have a cell phone and you have an old home landline, and you want to do A and B and you own a home, then reach out to the neighbor's kid and have the neighbor's kid pull up his or her cell phone and help guide you through A and B, and you can do it. But otherwise, you can do C by your cell phone. And if you have any type of if you have any cell phone as opposed to a landline, you can do A, B, and C as well. So that was a great question a lot of people have been asking me about across the land. Number 2. What's important to understand is that today's economic data shows you where we are as a channel, where we are as an economy, where we are as a community. It's important to understand that anyone who says, well, my first stimulus check came this way, well, my second stimulus check came that way. Here's what I got to tell you. When your first stimulus check came a year ago, well, let's see, it's now April. So yeah, it could have, you may have gotten your first check about right now. Your first stimulus check, when it came, we had 8 million people unemployed in the United States. 8 million people unemployed. And we had no jobs, and we had more people unemployed than jobs. Today, we only have, on continuing unemployment claims, just less than 1.72 million unemployed people. It's incredible turnaround in just 1 year. Moreover, we have 5 million more jobs than those unemployed people. Why am I telling you this data? Do not use the past as an indication of the present. If you say, I didn't have to do this for first stimulus, I didn't have to do this last year, well, guess what? Last year, everyone was unemployed. Last year, there were no jobs. This is a different society. This is a different year. This is a different economy. So that is why it's important for you to pounce and get every check. Moreover, it's also important to understand that when I show you checks, I'm getting them as quickly the information out to you as possible. I'm doing the turnaround time as quickly as possible because the money's not going to be around indefinitely. And that is why you want to pounce and get these big sums of money. The mindset for you right now should be like a hawk. That's why we call it a purple hawk. When a check becomes live and it's an A or a B or a C, you shouldn't wait 1 second. You should say, thank goodness I'm getting it right now. I'm pouncing. I'm getting A and B and C right now. Here is the wrong mindset. A, B, and C. Oh, okay. Can you tell me when the other check that I sort of like becomes law? That's the wrong mindset, because guess what? I just showed you the economic data. The economic data shows this economy is changing very dramatically by the second. I've shown you throughout this recording where the Federal Reserve just 4 weeks ago said we're going to do a quarter basis point to reduce inflation, quarter basis point increase on interest rates, and now doing half basis point, now doing 2 meetings a half basis point, maybe doing the whole rest of your half basis point. You see how things are changing so quickly? It doesn't mean the economy is better. It means the economy is getting very, very confusing to predict. That is why you don't want to sit around and wait for something. For someone who says, for this one, direct deposit or when in my direct deposit, you got to take whatever you learned from 2021, throw it out of the brain and start anew, because it's a new era, it's a new environment, it's a new way how things are being done. That's why this channel is #1 in financial news in prime time. That is why thousands and thousands of new members are joining all the time on this channel, because I'm showing you the new environment, the new normal. This is the new normal, and this is how you can do it. Finally, I have complete confidence in every single one of you, and you have done it. I've had viewers who are on SSI who have gotten $66,000 from Check C. I have viewers who are over 80 years of age who have gotten these checks, who have picked up the phone or even done it with their laptop. I have complete confidence in every single one of you. When you want to be able to do it, you can do it. Whether it involves picking up the phone and telling the neighbor's son to come over and help you walk you through something. Whether it involves replaying the video. Whether it involves reaching out to someone to say, hey, how do I use this? What's important to understand is that the way you should approach things is sort of like a student in a college, university, first-year class. You walk into that big university class the first year, you're a freshman, and there's a professor, and there's 200 people in the class. 200 people in the class and a professor, and the professor's explaining something to you. You may get confused. But you can't stop the professor in the middle of a lecture and say, hi, of the 200 people in the class, I have a question. Can you stop what you're saying and explain it just to me? Doesn't happen here. Doesn't happen there. Now, what happens if you're still confused? Well, just like I have a community page for the members, the professor also had the student aid, where you go to student aid and ask questions. The student aid won't take the exam for you. The student aid will give you guidance. Just like the member community page won't fill out the application for you, they'll show you where it is and then guide you through to how to get to it. And then finally, if you're still confused, then the way you learn it is you think about it and you play it again, you replay the video. Ultimately, if you want to learn and if you want to figure it out, you get it. You've always impressed me with your knowledge. You've always impressed me with your intelligence. And that's why I bring the level of this channel to the way it goes, because you have always been able to handle it. From the most mundane to the most complex, whether it's a yield curve inversion or whether it's interest rates and mortgage rates, you've always been able to grasp it and conquer it. And with that, I look forward to seeing you tonight on Amy's LA in prime time at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But first, if you haven't become a member of this channel, make sure you do. Become a member, because guess what? That membership newsletter is where all this incredible information is in there. The member newsletter is delivered Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What's important is to become a member, and that membership newsletter is delivered Monday through Friday via YouTube alert system. It delivers all the incredible money, all the incredible checks. Get that membership newsletter. Become a member today. And then pounce with that check A, B, and C. And when a new check D or E or F becomes law, I'll have that for you as well. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, thank you for joining me. I'll see you next on Amy's LA, as a big day is just getting started. See you tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Become a member between now and then, and don't forget to watch the live stream as well. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.